From Philadelphia's Veterans Stadium, this is Kurt Berglund with Payoff Pitch, Dream Season Baseball. We are now into Game 5 of the 18-game mini-season plus playoffs, and tonight's game is a big one. The two teams tied for second place in the National League at 3 wins and 1 loss apiece are facing off at the Vet. It's the 1969 Mets at the 1983 Phillies, and we have a pitching duel of historic proportions. The aces of each staff are facing off in the game tonight. It'll be Tom Seaver and his 25-7 record and 2.21 earned run average for the 1969 Mets. And he will be facing Steve Carlton, 15-16 with a 3.11 earned run average for the Phillies. We should have a heck of a ball game. Give you the lineups. Leading off, and this is for the visiting 1969 New York Mets. Leading off in center field, Tommy Agee. Batting second at shortstop, Bud Harrelson. Batting third in right field, it's Cleon Jones. Batting fourth at first base, Don Clendenin. Batting fifth in right field, if I can get my fingers to work, it's Ron Swoboda. Batting sixth behind the plate, Jerry Grody. Batting seventh at third base, Ed Charles. Batting eighth at second base, Al Weiss. And batting ninth and doing the pitching is Mr. Seaver. For the homestanding Philadelphia Phillies, leading off at second base, it's Joe Morgan. Batting second at first base, Pete Rose. Batting third at third base, Mike Schmidt. Batting fourth in left field, Gary Matthews. Batting fifth in right field, Von Hayes. Batting sixth in center field, Greg Gross. Batting seventh and doing the catching, Bo Diaz. And batting eighth and playing shortstop, it's Ivan DeJesus with Steve Carlton batting ninth and doing the pitching. Yesterday's game was the first of this 3-game series between these two teams. They will not meet again unless, of course, it's in the playoffs. The 1983 Phillies took it to the Mets and gave them their first loss on the season. Let's see. Come on. Here we go. It was 8-1. The winner, Kevin Gross. The loser, Don Cardwell. Runs aplenty for the Phillies. Home runs by Morgan, a 3-run shot in the third, and DeJesus, a 2-run shot in the fourth. Pretty much put things away. Tommy Agee's homer, his second in 2 games, the only scoring for the Mets. We are ready to go. 2 teams are tied with 4-0 records at the top of the National League pennant chase. Top 5 teams in the league make the playoffs. So here we go. The pitch from Carlton to Agee is grounded to DeJesus, and Ivan throws across to Rose, and we are underway with 1 man out. It's Bud Harrelson. Buddy hit 186 against lefties in 69. The pitch from Carlton. He struck him out. There's 2 down, and now Cleon Jones. I don't know. I guess Seaver would be the MVP of the team, but Agee and Jones are right behind him. Pitch to Cleon is hitting the air to left. That's Gary Matthews, who will look awkward, but he will make the catch. And that retires the Mets 1-2-3 in the first. We go to the bottom of the first. No score in Philadelphia. Mr. Seaver taking the mound for the first time. It's Morgan, Rose, and Schmidt. But it's not 1977. These boys were getting a little bit long in the tooth. So we'll see what they can do against Tom Terrific. Here we go. Okay, we got to do a re-roll. And this one is grounded to third. That's Ed Charles, who throws across to Clendenin. And there's one man out. Pete Rose comes up with one out and nobody on. 235 against righties on the season. Ground ball third, that's Charles again. The throw to Clendenin, and there's two men out. And here comes Schmidt, the Phillies MVP. 255, but a 532 slugging average against right-handers. And he strokes a base hit to left. It'll bounce in front of Jones, and Mike Schmidt will be aboard with a single. Gary Matthews with two outs and a man on. Schmidt's not going anywhere. Gary, 245 against righties. The pitch from Seaver. And we have a shot at Charles. Ed Charles knocks it down but cannot make the play. It's going to be an infield hit for the Sarge. Matthews is safe, Schmidt is safe at second. There's two outs, two on and two outs for Von Hayes. 259 against righties. Grounded to second. Al Weiss is going to go the short way to Harrelson, and that retires the Phillies in the first. We've played one in Philadelphia, and we are scoreless. For the Mets in the second, Clendenin, Swoboda, and Grody are coming to the plate against Carlton. Clendenin, 281 against lefties. And he grounds this one to third. Schmidt has it. The throw to Rose, and there's one man out. Swoboda, 242 against lefties. Pitch from Carlton. Is a comebacker. He gloves it, takes a couple of steps, flips it to Rose, and there's two men out in the Mets second. Jerry Grody comes up, 235 on the season. Lifted in the air to left. Gary Matthews gets another chance to look awkward, and he does, but he makes the catch, and that retires the Mets. 1-2-3, one more time in the second inning. Go to the bottom of two. It's Gross, Diaz, and DeJesus coming to the plate. And it's getting organized here. Okay. Here comes Greg Gross, 313. A lot of different roles for Greg in 83. Pinch hitter, backup outfielder, played a bunch. Pitch to him, he's 313 with a 391 on base average against righties. The pitch from Seaver. I can read. He walked him. He walks Gross to lead off the inning, and that'll bring up to Diaz. Bo, 238 against righties. Seaver to the belt. The pitch to Bo. He walks Diaz. Two on, nobody out for DeJesus. Bunt could be on. They could have something going. We'll see what they decide to do. Paul Owens flashing the signs. DeJesus, the pitch, he's not bunting. And it's a hanger for Seaver. And DeJesus slashes a base hit. This one goes to center field. And that will score Gross. And Diaz will stop at second. It's 1-0 Phillies with nobody out. First and second, Diaz at second, DeJesus at first. Carlton coming to the plate. He can do a lot of things. He can hit, for one thing. He's also a good bunter. Seaver to the belt, the pitch, he's bunting. It is to Seaver. And he fumbles it. Diaz is safe at third. DeJesus safe at second. Carlton ambles his way to first as Seaver boxes the ball. So the bases are now loaded with nobody out and Joe Morgan coming to the plate. The Mets defense will play at double play depth for Morgan. Pitch to Joe. And he walks Morgan. He just walked in a run. It's 2-0 Phillies. And Rose comes up. Mets defense stays at double play depth for Pete. There is nobody out. It's DeJesus at third, Carlton at second, Morgan at first. Seaver to the belt, the pitch to Rose. Popped him up. Clendenon calling in fair territory, will take it for out number one. And now it's Schmidt. Mike Schmidt is up with the bases loaded and one man out. Not the dream scenario that the Mets were hoping for. Seaver to the belt. The pitch to Schmidt. Infield still back. This is hit towards Agee. Tommy on the run. And Tommy will make the catch in center field. He makes the catch. And the runners hold. So there are now two outs as Schmidt is retired and Matthews comes up with the bases still loaded. It's 2-0 Philadelphia. Seaver trying to work his way out of a jam. DeJesus still at third. Carlton at second. Morgan at first. Two outs. The pitch to Matthews. Is grounded to first, taken by Clendenon. He will go unassisted to the bag, and Seaver gives up a couple of runs and then gets three outs in a row from the 2, 3, and 4 hitters in the Phillies lineup, which I guess, all things considered, has to be considered a moral victory for the Mets. Phillies could have blown this thing open, and they failed to do so. We go to the third. It's the bottom third of the Mets order. Charles, Weiss, and Seaver coming to bat against lefty. Pitch to Ed. He strokes it to left center. That's going to split Gross and Matthews and roll to the wall. Ed Charles gets himself a leadoff double in the third. He had 8 of them in the 1969 season. Al Weiss comes up. 220 for Al against lefties. Charles works on his lead. Carlton's not too concerned. The pitch home to Weiss. This is hit to right. Von Hayes is on the run. And it will drop in for a single. That's going to bring Charles home, and Al Weiss becomes the offensive hero for the Mets in this one so far. It's 2-1. Seaver coming to the plate with everybody in the ballpark thinking bunt. We'll see what Gil Hodges has in mind for him. Carlton to the belt, checks Weiss at first. Seaver's bunting. He pops it to Carlton, who whirls and throws to Rose for a double play. It's a 1-3 double play on the attempted sacrifice, as Weiss did not get back to first in time. Seaver's bunt was poor, and that is a soul-crushing, rally-killing double play, although not a conventional one. And here comes Tommy Agee with 2 outs and nobody on. But the Mets do have 1 man in. He strikes him out on some upstairs gas, and the Mets have to settle for 1 on 2 hits. We go to the bottom of the third. It's 2-1 Phillies, and the Mets have to consider themselves, all things considered, pretty fortunate to be in this position. For the Phillies in the bottom of the third, it's Hayes, Gross, and Diaz, as they've got a lot of parts on this team that you got to put together in just the right way to get yourself some wins. Hayes, 0 for 1. Big things were expected in 83. They didn't get them. Although you could argue he didn't really get much of a chance, although I don't know. I don't know how I come out on that one. He walks Hayes. Seaver in trouble again with a leadoff walk to the Phillies right fielder. Now it's Greg Gross. Greg walked in the second and scored a run. The pitch from Seaver is a base hit to left. That will get Hayes to third, and there's men at the corners for the Phillies with nobody out in the bottom of the third. Seaver is really having to work here early. Infield at double play depth. Diaz has walked and scored a run. The pitch from Seaver is a hanger. Diaz swings, and it's way back to left. Cleon Jones to the track, to the wall. It is gone. Bo Diaz has left the building. So has Elvis. And the Phillies have a 5-1 lead in the bottom of the third. Seaver visibly upset with himself, and DeJesus comes to the plate 1 for 1 with a ribby. Base hit DeJesus. He's on fire. 2 for 2 now for Ivan, and that'll bring up Carlton. Steve reached on an error by Seaver in the second. DeJesus takes his lead. Carlton squares to bunt. He gets it down. Charles has it. throws to Weiss covering first, and that'll advance to Jesus to second. Joe Morgan comes to the plate with 1 out and a man in scoring position. Joe 0 for 1 with a walk in the game. Popped him up. Ed Charles waving everybody off, and we'll take it for out number 2. And now it's Rose. Pete's 0 for 2. DeJesus still at second. Ground ball shortstop. Harrelson across to Clendenin, and the Phillies are retired in the 3rd, but they score 3 on 3 hits and leave 1. After 3, it's 5-1 Philadelphia. We'll see what kind of comeback ability these Mets are capable of in this one. Alrighty. So, we have Carlton to face Harrelson, Jones, and Clendenin in the Mets' 4th. Bud 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Hit in the air to center field. Greg Gross is coming in, and he'll make the catch for 1 down. Cleon Jones 0 for 1. Grounded to second. This is Morgan. He throws to Rose for 2 down. And Don Clendenin is 0 for 1. Carlton, the wind, the pitch. Gotta do a reroll. Line shot, but at DeJesus, and that'll retire Clendenin and the Mets in the 4th. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Phillies 5, Mets 1. Seaver is coming back out. Schmidt, Matthews, and Hayes coming up for Philly. Mike 1 for 2. Pitch from Seaver. It's a hanger, and he crushed it to center. Agee on the run. He's back to the wall, and it's gone. Schmidt has left the building. So has Elvis. It's 6-1 Philadelphia. In the 2 games so far, in this series so far, the Phillies have outscored the Mets 14-2. Gary Matthews 1 for 2. Oh, and Seaver is fatigued, which is not what you want. Let's find that guy. I didn't think I'd be using this card in this game. Here we go. Now we're ready. Okay, Seaver's fatigued, but they're leaving him in. Matthews 1 for 2. The pitch to him. He walks him. That's going to get action in the Mets bullpen. It'll be Nolan Ryan, some young pitcher. I don't really know who he is. Probably won't go on to have much of a career. But he's warming up for the Mets. Von Hayes steps in. Von is 0 for 1, a walk and a run scored. Seaver has walked 4 in 3 innings. Check that. He's walked 5 in 3 innings of work. Pitch to Von Hayes is hit to short. That's Harrelson. And Bud Harrelson just kicked it for a one-base error. That will move Matthews to second, and the wheels are falling off the Mets cart at this point. Greg Gross. Seaver the pitch. Another hit for Gross. This falls in. Matthews will score. It's now 7-1. Hayes stops at second, and there's nobody out. Here comes Gil Hodges, and that's going to do it for Mr. Seaver. It's going to be Nolan Ryan. I'll give you Seaver's line. I don't know that you want it. 3 innings plus in this game. 5 walks, no strikeouts, 8 hits, 7 runs so far. So far, 1 is not earned, although a second one may not be. We'll see how that goes. And he's allowed 2 home runs. Not Mr. Seaver's day. 7-1 Phillies with Gross on first, Hayes on second, and Bo Diaz a definite double play target if he can get him to hit it on the ground. Diaz, a 3-run dong last inning. He also has walked. This is hit at Clendenin. And if you're a Mets fan, that's not where you wanted the ball to go. Clendenin kicks it for another error. 3 on the Mets so far. The bases are loaded again, and there's nobody out. DeJesus comes to the plate. 7-1 Phillies. Ryan has to get it together here. Mets infield at double play depth. They're looking to stop the bleeding. Pitch from Ryan. Lifted in the air to left. That's going to be Jones, but not deep enough to score anybody, and that will retire DeJesus. Carlton now with the bases loaded. Pitch from Ryan. Hit in the air to center. Not deep. AG will take it. That's 2 down, and Morgan with 2 outs and the base is still dripping. Hayes at third, Gross at second, Diaz at first. The pitch to Joe. Hit in the air to center. AG will make the play, and that will retire the Phillies, who are scoring, but they're also leaving tons of runners. After 4 innings, 4 complete in Philadelphia, it's the 83 Phillies 7, the 69 Mets 1, and it could be much, much worse than that. So we go to the 5th, and it'll be Swoboda, Grody, and Charles for the Mets. Ron, 0 for 1 on the day. Mets need to put something together here. And there's a start. He walks Swoboda, and that's the first walk of the game for Carlton. Grody is 0 for 1. He comes to the plate. Carlton the pitch. Hit to Morgan at second. He knocks it down, but will make the play to Rose at first, with Swoboda advancing to second. And so with one out, the Mets have a man in scoring position for Ed Charles. Al Weiss is on deck. Carlton to the belt, checks Swoboda. The pitch to Charles is a base hit. Ed Charles comes through. And that will score Swoboda with another run. Charles on a 2-for-2 day. It is 7-2 Phillies, and Al Weiss coming to the plate. Nolan Ryan is standing on deck. I don't know if they will let him bat. Weiss, 1-for-1 on the day. He has driven in a run. Carlton to the belt. The pitch home to Weiss. Hit in the air to left. Matthews with room will make the play and fire the ball back in as Charles retreats to first base. The Mets are going to hit for Ryan, and Jim Mcandrew is warming up in the bullpen for the New Yorkers. So that's going to do it for Ryan. He gets 1 inning of work. No runs, no hits, no errors, no walks, and actually did something very important, and that is to try and keep the Mets sort of in the game at that point. So it's going to be Mcandrew's business to take care of. Rod Gasper is going to be the pinch hitter. He is a .263 hitter against lefties. Charles works on his lead. The pitch to Rod is ball 4. Carlton might be losing his stuff a little bit. Second walk of the inning for Carlton. Gasper goes down to first. Charles moves up to second. And now Tommy Agee comes to the plate. If he goes deep, they're back in it. So 2 outs. Charles at second. Gasper at first. The pitch to Tommy. Hey, struck him out when he needed to. Carlton with a big bender, and that will retire the side. The Mets get 1 run on 1 hit and leave 2. After 4.5, we're halfway home. It is Philadelphia 7, New York 2, and we have a new pitcher on the mound. It's Jim Mcandrew, who will bat 9th in the order for New York. Mcandrew 6-7 with a 3.47 earned run average in 1969. 6 relief appearances, 21 starts, and he will face Rose, Schmidt, and Matthews for the Phillies. And Pete strokes a base hit over shortstop to get things going in the 5th. Mike Schmidt comes to the plate. The Mets infield moves to double play depth. And another hit. Schmidt is 3-for-4. Rose will stop at second. There's runners at first and second for Matthews, who is also a double play target, if you can get him to hit it on the carpet. Mcandrew, not great at that skill. He goes to the belt. Rose at second, Schmidt at first. The pitch to Sarge. Grounded to short. Harrelson to Weiss for 1, to Clendenon for 2. A soul-crushing, rally-killing double play for the Mets. They turn it, and that'll bring up Von Hayes with Rose at third and 2 outs. Pitch to Von. And a base hit brings him in. Von Hayes picks up Matthews with a RBI single It's 8-2, Phillies. Gross is 2 for 2 with a walk. He stands in now against Mcandrew. And he strikes him out. So the Phillies get a run on 3 hits. They leave 1. And after 5, it's 8-2 Philadelphia. For the Mets in the top of the 6th, Carlton may be starting to get weary. We don't know. He's 38. He's no kid. It's Harrelson, Jones, and Clendenon for the Mets in the 6th. Bud is 0 for 2. And Bud strokes a base hit that gets between short and third. It's a single for Harrelson, and Jones will come to the plate. 0 for 2 for Cleon on the day. Mets down 6, have some work to do. Jones lines it down the line past Schmidt. This will get into the corner. Gary Matthews is going to chase it down and botch it. He fumbles it, but will get it back in. Harrelson is going to score. Jones gets to second and gets himself an RBI, a double here in the 6th. It's 8-3. Clendenon 0 for 2 on the day with nobody out. Jones at second. Carlton to the belt. The pitch home to Don. Hey, strikes him out on a bender. 1 gone. And now Swoboda, who's 0 for 1 with a walk. And a run scored in the 5th. Gil Hodges would love a base hit. Maybe something, a bleeder over Joe Morgan's head would be okay. And Swoboda strokes it to right center. This will split Hayes and Gross and go all the way to the wall. Jones will score. It's 8-4. Carlton is somewhere between losing it and has lost it. So there's going to be action now in the bullpen for Philadelphia. It's McGraw and Reed, as Paul Owens is not messing around. Jerry Grody with Swoboda on second and 1 man out. Carlton to the belt. Grody's 0 for 2. The pitch. He strikes him out on some upstairs gas. 2 down. Swoboda still at second. Ed Charles having a big day. He's 2 for 2. Double run scored Ribby. Carlton to the belt. The pitch to Swoboda. The pitch to Charles is hit in the air to left towards the line. Matthews on the run. He will make the play. And that will retire the Mets in the 6th. They score 2, however. And after 6, it's 8-4 Philadelphia in this big game. Whoever wins this game is all alone in second place in the National League. Mcandrew will face Diaz, DeJesus, and Carlton, maybe, in the bottom of the 6th. Bo, 1 for 2. Popped up. Bud Harrelson on the infield will take it, and that's 1 gone. DeJesus, 2 for 3. Uribe on his ledger. Ground ball second. Weiss throws to Clendenon, and that's 2 gone. And now they have a decision to make about Carlton. They will let him bat. Carlton 0 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt. The pitch from Mcandrew He strikes him out. That's 3 gone. 1, 2, 3 for Mcandrew, and that's the first 1, 2, 3 for the Mets pitching staff in this ball game. We go to the top of the 7th. Carlton back out. Reed and McGraw still working in the Phillies bullpen. Weiss, Mcandrew, and AG are scheduled. Al is 1 for 2 with a ribby. Ground ball second. Morgan has it. He throws to Rose, and that's 1 man out. All right. Mcandrew is being called back. We're going to see a pinch hitter. It's going to be Bobby File. Backup infielders. So, Mcandrew goes 2 innings. Allows 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned. No walks, a pair of strikeouts, no homers. File, first at bat in the mini season, the dream season. 268 average, 316 on base. His first at bat gets to be against Steve Carlton. He gave Gil Hodges a hug before coming to home plate. The pitch to Bobby. He lines a base hit to right. File goes the other way, and he's aboard, and that is going to do it. Here comes Paul Owens to get Carlton. And he's waving his right hand to get a right-hander in to face Tommy Agee. Carlton's day, 6 1/3 innings. 7 hits, 2 walks, and he struck out 3. 4 runs, they're all earned. He's responsible for File on first, which is not something anybody really wants. And Ron Reed gets the call to relieve him. Ron Reed, 9-1 in 1983 with a 3.48 earned run average. He pitched 95 innings, 61 games, and saved 8. He's in for AG and probably Harrelson and Jones if necessary. There's 1 man out, Files at first. The pitch to Tommy. Hey, struck him out. 2 gone. And now Harrelson. Bud, 268 against righties with a 355 on-base average. 1 for 3 with a strikeout and a run scored. This is hit at Rose. Pulled down the line. And Pete grabs it, stumbles, staggers, falls on the base, and spikes the ball and retires Harrelson. It is time to stretch him out. We've played 6 1/2 in Philadelphia. It's 8-4 Phillies. We have a new pitcher coming on for the Mets, and it's going to be Tug Mcgraw, with his first appearance in the mini season that we are doing. All right, so tell you about him. Tug Mcgraw, 9-3 in 69 with a 2.24 earned run average. He pitched in 42 games. 4 of those were starts, 12 saves. He faces Morgan, Rose, and Schmidt in the 7th, and he will bat 9th. Joe Morgan, 197 against lefties. Are they going to leave him in? Apparently so. Paul Owens waves him toward home plate. And Joe hits one in the air to center field. Tommy Agee is going to happily pocket this one, and that's one gone. Pete Rose with the left-hander in, 283 against lefties on the season. 1 for 4, the run scored on the day. It's a hanger. McGraw hangs it. Rose lines a base hit up the middle. It's a single for Pete, 2 for 5 on his day. And Schmidt comes to the plate. 252 against lefties. Mike's 3 for 4 with a solo homer. And he just lined one down the right field line. It's past Clendenin. It's going to rattle around in the corner. Swoboda's got to go get it. That will send Rose to third, so it's second and third with one man out for Gary Matthews. Von Hayes is on deck. Didn't face a lot of lefties on the season, so we'll have to see if they hit for him. Matthews is first, though, 1 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. Rose at third, Schmidt at second, one man out. We're in the bottom of the 7th. The pitch from Tug. The infield is in. It's gloved by Clendenin. The runners will hold. Nope, I'm wrong. They will not hold. Clendenin. Wait a minute. Yep. Clendenin fires home to get Rose at the plate. Schmidt advances to third, and Matthews is safe at first, so McGraw gets men at the corners now with 2 outs. No runs in yet for Philadelphia, and Von Hayes will bat. Von is 1 for 3 with a ribby, a walk, and a run scored. The pitch to Von. He struck him out and gets out of the inning, so Tug Mcgraw gets a couple of runners in scoring position with 1 out and gets off the hook. Man, the Phillies have left a lot of runners. Let's count. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 runners left on in 7 innings. The Mets are getting ready to bat in the 7th, or in the 8th here, top of the 8th. Meat of the order for Reed. It'll be Jones, Clendenin, and Swoboda if there are no pinch hitters. Jones, 1 for 3 with a double. Run scored and a ribby. Pitch from Reed. Grounded to short. DeJesus gloves it and throws to Rose for 1 man gone. Clendenin, 0 for 3 for Don on the day. 224 only against righties. He struck him out. 2 gone. And Swoboda. McGraw is still in the bullpen. Just watching with his hands on his hips. They're going to let Swoboda face Reed. 1 for 2, double, run scored, ribby, walk. Pitch from Reed is grounded to short. That's DeJesus. And Ivan throws out Swoboda at first base, and that retires the Mets 1, 2, 3 in the 8th. We go to the bottom of the 8th. McGraw coming back out for New York. Gross, Diaz, and DeJesus are scheduled. We're going to have a pinch hitter for Greg Gross. And that's going to be Gary Maddox, who will doubtless go in to play center field in the top of the ninth. Gross finishes his day 2 for 3, a strikeout, a walk, and 2 runs scored. Gary Maddox, 318 against lefties. He strokes a base hit to left, and he's aboard with a single off of McGraw. Bo Diaz. The score is 8-4 Phillies over the Mets. Diaz, 1 for 3. He has also walked. The pitch to him, hit in the air to left. Cleon Jones has room, and he will make the play. Maddox retreats to first. DeJesus, 2 for 4. A ribby. Tug to the belt. The pitch. He lines a base hit. This one will stop Maddox at second, and with 1 out, there's 2 on, and Reed is due, and we're going to see a pinch hitter. It's going to be Tony Perez for the Phillies to pinch hit for Reed. Ron Taylor now getting ready for New York in the bullpen. Okay. Perez, a double play target. Maddox at second, DeJesus at first, 1 man out. McGraw to the belt, the pitch to Tony. It's a hanger. Perez swings and launches it to left field. Cleon Jones to the track, to the wall. He's got it. Wow. He makes the catch. Maddox returns to second. DeJesus scrambles back to first. And there are now 2 men out. Top of the order for Morgan. And we're going to have a pinch hitter for Joe. It's going to be Kiko Garcia. And I think you know in your career when Kiko Garcia is getting an at-bat, getting to pinch hit for you, it's getting near the end. So Morgan, 0 for 4 with a walk on the day. Garcia, 229 against lefties on the season. And McGraw, close to getting out of this one. 2 on last inning, 2 on this inning. Pitch to Kiko. Line shot at Weiss. He's got it, and that retires the Phillies in the 8th. So 2 more reach base. 14 left on by the 83 Phillies in this game. Garcia goes to second base defensively for Morgan. And we're going to have a new pitcher for Philadelphia. It's going to be Al Holland with his first appearance on the season. He was the Phillies closer in '83. And he is on now to get an inning of work. It is, not a save situation. Not a save situation. All right, for the Mets, it's Grody. Charles and Weiss do. We'll see if there's any pinch hitting going on. We do have 1 defensive substitution to tell you about. Bobby Dernier is now in left field for Gary Matthews, as is usually the case when the Phillies are leading. So Dernier is in the number 4 spot in the order for Matthews. All right, so Holland is in. He's batting ninth. He's got Grody at the plate. He is a left-handed pitcher. 235 versus lefties for Grody. Jerry's 0 for 3 on the day with a strikeout. This is grounded to Rose. Pete gloves it and steps on the bag unassisted for 1 man out. Ed Charles. 2 for 3 on the day, a double, ribby, run scored. Hayes strikes him out, 2 gone, and Al Weiss looks like the last chance for the Mets. Down 4. Al is 1 for 3 with a ribby. 220 for Al. Pitch from Holland. Lifted in the air to left. Dernier is going to make the play, and that will end the ball game. The Phillies, 1983 Phillies defeat the 1969 Mets for the second time in this 3-game series by a score of 8-4. Give you the line scores for the victorious 1983 Phillies. 8 runs on 15 hits, and they committed no errors, although Pete Rose tried really hard. For the vanquished 1969 New York Mets, 4 runs on 7 hits, and they committed 1, 2, 3 errors. Winning pitcher is Steve Carlton. He is, I believe, I want to say Steve Carlton is 2-0. He is. And the losing pitcher is Tom Seaver, who drops to 1-1. Alrighty, that will do it from Philadelphia. Tomorrow, on my YouTube channel, you will see the 1964 New York Mets at the 1977 Boston Red Sox. Opposing pitchers will be Whitey Ford for the 1964 Yankees against the 77 Red Sox. Opposing pitchers, Whitey Ford for the Yankees and Louis Tiant for the Red Sox. Should be a good one. These two teams are also tied in the standings with 2-2 records. They are tied in 3rd place. So it should be a good one, a lot on the line. Thank you for joining me for this one. The 83 Phillies are now all alone in 2nd place in the National League pennant race. With a record of 4-1, the Mets dropped to 3-2, very much in it. Thank you for joining me. Please click like and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with Payoff Pitch Dream Season Baseball. My name's Kurt Berglund. Thank you for joining me. Have a great night. So long, everybody.